When Jesus began his ministry, he started to choose those who would accompany him on his journey. Those who would travel with him, listen to him, watch him, learn from him. Those who would teach about the ways of God. And they were a bunch of people who didn't really fit together. They came from different backgrounds, different communities, different ideologies, but somehow Jesus made them unite together. They found it tough at times, tough to get on, and there were some heated arguments about who was the best disciple. Tough to understand, and they frequently got it wrong, no matter how many times Jesus would speak to them and try to get them to understand. Yet somehow, they were a group that worked. All different, all unique, all valued by Jesus. At the end of Matthew's Gospel, we read that the disciples saw the resurrected Jesus on the top of a mountain. They were all there together, but eventually their individuality and personality still shone through. Some doubted, some worshipped, but Jesus spoke to them all as equals. He commanded them and commissioned them to continue his work, his ministry. He said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." The trainees had now become the teachers. They'd been told that they were the people who were to take everything that they'd experienced and learned and share it with individuals and communities. They had to take all those things, well, along with their personalities, their doubts, their failings, their passions and questions. Jesus trusted them enough to continue his ministry. Jesus commissioned his disciples to carry his ministry on, and in addition to baptizing people, to teach them everything that he'd commanded them to do. What did that mean? Well, it meant the disciples recalling all those experiences, visits and conversations they'd had with Jesus. The ones they understood and the ones that they didn't, no matter how many times Jesus told them about it. For us now, we've got these stories written down. You think that would make it easier for us, wouldn't you? But as we've seen this week, this book, the Bible, has caused a lot of controversy. Some think that by holding it up, some mystical power will flow through the pages into you, which makes you understand it. And clearly, as we've seen, that doesn't happen. You see, to hold up this book, a Bible, and not open it, or read it, or take it to heart, is not any use. The power in these pages of the book is in the way it's read and prayed about and lived. The power is in the way that we take it to heart and live the words that are in the pages. It's not enough to hold it up and say, it's a Bible, and that makes me a follower of Christ, any more than I can stand in a garage and say, vroom vroom, and claim I'm a car. This week we've seen the Bible politicised and weaponised in a staged political stunt that required the dispersal of a peaceful protest that was reminding the world that Black Lives Matter by using tear gas and rubber bullets. To hold up a Bible, to claim that somehow you're demonstrating how important it is in your life or role, following acts of violence perpetrated on your behalf for a photo op, is not only unchristian, but it's inhumane and stands in direct opposition of what the Bible teaches. Today I'm in New Lanark, a village that was established in the late 18th century as a model society where workers were housed, provided for medically, educationally and socially. At that time, many people were using the Bible to justify slavery. Raw cotton was really only provided from plantations worked by slaves. However, the owners of New Lanark, David Dale and Robert Owen, worked to ensure that cotton was imported from an increasing number of plantations operated by freed slaves. David Dale was a Christian who knew the words of the Bible and tried to live them, in spite of what his fellow businessmen would have been saying at the time. In these last weeks, we've groaned and lamented as a world that still cannot understand that before God, all are equal, and that until we stand up against racism, injustice and intolerance, we need to remind people that Black Lives Matter. There are those who say, but surely everyone matters. Yes, they do. But as a white man, I've not woken up each morning worrying about my place in society or my safety because of my colour, or whether my children would be bullied, insulted or assaulted because of the colour of their skin. Let me say it again, because it's what Jesus would have said, and it's what we must say if we claim to follow him. Black lives matter. Jesus commanded his disciples, as he commands us, to teach everything I have commanded you. Now, to do that, we have to know what Jesus commanded and what he taught. That means that once in a while, opening the Bible, reading the words and allowing them to live with you and to shape who you are. And as I've done that over the years, I've come to realise that Jesus' commands were quite simple to hear, but difficult to follow. We're told to love God with everything that we have, heart, body, mind, soul and spirit, and to love our neighbour as ourselves. Sometimes we think that following in Christ's ways are easy, but in truth it should cause us difficulty. Not loving our neighbour, although sometimes that can be challenging, but difficulty in standing up for what Jesus teaches. Standing up when we see injustice, intolerance, abuses of power. It can be difficult when we find ourselves in a position where we must speak truth to power and tell those in authority that they're wrong. As Christians, we are commissioned by Jesus to stand for what he taught and shared with the world, to go into all nations and places, the places we find easy to visit and the places we dread to step, to teach the love of God. And remember that as you step into those places, those last words of Jesus are with you, words of love. I am with you always, to the very end of the age. So go and make disciples. Go and share the love of God. Open the pages, read, pray, listen and act, for the words in the book speak to you. For only when we've done this can we hold up the Bible and claim its authority. And when we do so, we must also do it to demonstrate the love of God.